The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde is an exquisite literary classic that illustrates the journey of a man through a moral labyrinth and his consequential fall from grace. The tale begins with a young and carefree Dorian Gray, who is pampered and idolized by an ambitious painter, Basil Hallward. The two of them form a close bond, and as a tribute, Hallward paints a stunningly realistic portrait of our protagonist. Dorian is instantly seduced by the image of his own conscience, enchanted by his own alluring reflection. Unbeknownst to him, it would be the downfall of his own moral essence. Dorian's eyes, however, are soon opened to possibilities of a life finite of the consequences of the wicked. His innocence is immediately destroyed after being exposed to the malicious ideas by a malevolent mastermind, Lord Henry Wotton. His power of persuasion operates on the vulnerable and morally naive mind of Dorian, and after an enlightening one-on-one discussion, Dorian is seduced by the power of youth, a strength that will never be taken away from him as long as he was content to let the physical manifestation of his own morality suffer the consequence of his own indulgent ways in life. Thus, a pact was made between Dorian and himself, an understanding between the real and its representation. The portrait would bear the burden of the moral defects that came from heavenly pursuits, and Dorian would continue to indulge in them, in speculation of a lifestyle drenched in sin and impertinence. His conscience was numbed as he accepted Lord Henry's invitation to gratify his desire for earthly pleasures. Dorian more than obliged, seeking out a life of extravagant parties, luxurious sprees, and satisfying his passions any way possible. With each wicked deed Dorian committed, a slow transformation eased its way onto the canvas, the portrait aging while Dorian's physical presence remained ageless. This observation caused great horror in Sir Henry, who bellowed in terror at the drastic effect Dorian's immoral ways had on the painting. Even though Dorian felt a slight reminder in his conscience, his disregard for the internal consequences of his actions would eventually lead him to his downfall. As days went by, Dorian's immoral escapades became more and more belligerently wicked. He toyed with people's hearts and abused his power as he carried on his malicious ways. His twisted thoughts pushed him further into an abyss of no return. Gripped by a deepening intoxication of guilt and panic, yet unable to turn away, he made the perilous decision to lock his portrait away in the attic, away from prying eyes. Decades passed, but nothing changed. The portrait kept aging, while Dorian was forever marred in his boyish face. Until one night, when the portrait became too gruesome and realistic to bear, Dorian snatched a knife and fatally punctured the painting, ending its life and liberating himself from his heinous guilt. In his final moments, Dorian releases a desperate final plea for redemption. His remains were taken away to its final resting place, buried in a dreary and forgotten corner of town. On the early morning of the following day, our protagonist was found in the attic, his body still and face solemn. Many things can be said about this turn of events, but only one thing remained evident. The sins of Dorian Gray were laid to rest, a testament of the indelible mark it left in the face of those who witnessed it.